So I want to start today's video with a super huge thank you to Frankie for joining my Patreon. I can't wait to see all of my patrons on Wednesday at 8 p.m. for our new moon gathering. So just a little reminder for you guys. If you guys are interested but not part of my Patreon, I have tons of extra content over there, including 2 rituals a month, one on the full moon and one on the new moon. And those are live virtual rituals that I have just specifically for my patrons. Ritual access is available on all levels, so if that is something that you are interested in, definitely check it out. But for today, I really wanted to give you guys some more information about the upcoming new moon. Y'all really seem to like my videos about the full moon, so I thought I would continue it, talk about some moon magic. It's something that I really like as well. So I feel like that's just like really fun and something that I want to do this year. I see a lot of videos on YouTube about astrology that goes with the various moons, and I think that is awesome, but I am constantly looking for more witchcraft content. So hopefully I can kind of talk about some of the more witchy stuff that you can do and kind of approach the lunar phases from a witchy perspective instead of a purely astrology. So if you would like to learn a little bit more about the astrological significance of this upcoming celestial event, I really recommend checking out the video that is linked in the description. And this video was done by someone named Sarah Verba. Definitely check out her channel. She is a very prolific astrologer. It was really in-depth and I really enjoyed the way she explained it. It made it understandable for me, who does not comprehend astrology. And I used it as a reference for this video, which I thought was very cool, so I wanted to shout that out. I also used this book, which was sent to me by Wiser Books. You might have seen me posting about it on Instagram, but I've had a few minutes to like kind of flip through it. I used it as a reference guide for this video, but I will be reading it cover to cover very soon, hopefully Wednesday. Maybe not cover to cover, but at least start it on Wednesday. And I will be back with a book review for this very soon. So, anyways, let's chat about this upcoming new moon. Now, we talked about how the full moon previously, if you go back about 2 weeks, and if I stop hitting my plants, I really got to stop doing that. We talked about how the full moon is actually in the opposite sign of the sun sign. And this is why last month's full moon was actually in the sign of Leo. Now, the new moon will be the opposite of the full moon. So it's actually always going to be in the same sign as the sun sign. Now that is because the moon is basically like in between the earth and the sun. So like if this is the earth, this is the moon, and this is the sun. So the sun is actually illuminating part of the moon. I feel like I should have props or something, but the sun is illuminating the side of the moon that we can't see, which is why it looks dark in our night sky. So just some cool science facts. I'm in the middle of watching Cosmos by Carl Sagan, and it is very interesting. I've never watched it before. Mind-blowing stuff. Definitely recommend it. We can totally absolutely merge the mundane or science with some of the magical stuff that we have in our beautiful universe. So because the sun is in the sign of Pisces, the new moon is also going to be in the sign of Pisces. And the new moon, when it is in the sign of Pisces, is a time to reset and refresh oneself. So Pisces is a water sign. And I definitely really associate that kind of cleansing, tranquil energy with the element of water. So if you're a witch who prefers to work with the elements versus astrology, just consider this kind of a moon in which you should be working with energies of water, that kind of flow, the mercurial nature of everything. So this new moon in Pisces is definitely very nebulous, very mysterious, very emotional perhaps. All new moons deal with the beginning and end of a cycle, and this one is absolutely no different. It's asking us to notice the things that are awakening within us, and it mirrors, I think, the stirring of life within the earth as well. So I really I have a lot of spring fever. I am still spring cleaning my house because I keep finding things and I'm like, I must dissect this and get rid of the things that I do not need. Right now is also a very good time for manifestation. Not only do we have that energy, that like new growth of spring, so we're already probably feeling it in the planet if your practice is a little bit more on the earth-based side. But if it's not, this is still a really great time for manifestation because all of the planets in our night sky are direct, so that means none of them are in retrograde. So because all of the planets are direct, that means that none of their energies are working against us and blocking us with our journey. So right now is a really good time to be focusing on what you want to achieve. Now that being said, because this moon is in Pisces, this is a very fluid and dreamy and like wondrous element to this moon, right? And this moon asks us to surrender and to give ourselves a break, really, to engage in that self-care, which I know I harp on all the time. I just think it's one of the most important things ever. So that being said, Pisces being the opposite of Virgo, and my Virgo heart is screaming, Pisces lets us know, that energy of Pisces lets us know that we don't need to have it all figured out right away. And if you do anything during this new moon, it should be to kind of dream big and realize what is truly possible for you. So the sky is the limit out there. The depths of the ocean is the limit. So apologies if you hear my cat. I took away his toy. He was playing with one of my hair ties. But I feel that Sarah Verba really explains this well in her video, so I wanted to quote her. And her quote essentially goes, "The goal for this moon is not to have a master plan, but it's about allowing yourself to feel through what's coming up for you and embracing the unknown and coming to peace with the unknown and inevitable change." So I think that's really beautiful, and I think that really just hits it right, like the nail right on the head when it comes to talking about the energy and what we can be focusing on for the specific new moon. Now, that being said, I've talked a lot about astrology for a video that's not supposed to be about astrology. So let's get into what we can do as witches and as practitioners in general. One of the first things that I always recommend doing on a new moon and a full moon is to cleanse your space. Get that last bit of spring cleaning done and set yourself up for a very successful springtime. We are coming up on Ostara, which is the spring equinox. It's the first day of spring, so we're in those last days of winter. I have definitely noticed the temperatures are rising, which is amazing. I'm so happy. It's actually very cold today. As I'm saying that, like, it's getting warmer. But I really encourage you guys to cleanse your space. I recently reset my sacred space, and I'm very excited to continue working on it. In line with that, a lot of transformative workings are going to be great to do during this new moon. So breaking habits, starting new routines and patterns, maybe reevaluating the things that have worked for you so far this year, and the things that maybe don't have space in your life anymore. So just kind of going through that transformation and allowing that change to happen. Next, Pisces is a very creative sign. So by allowing your creativity to drift into whatever realms it feels called to, I should say, but like listening to uplifting or dreamy music, making maybe a vision board. I also really want to encourage you guys to maybe reinvestigate an old medium of art that you used to enjoy and find new ways to integrate it into your current creative ventures. If you are not a creative person, don't worry, I still have a lot more suggestions for you. And just remember, any art that you make is beautiful because you made it. So now, kind of the opposite to that creativity, that expansion, that growth that I've been talking about, I also want to encourage you guys to engage in rest during the new moon. So I know some witches are either really, really affected by the full moon or really, really affected by the new moon. So it is totally okay to kind of rest and recuperate and take care of yourself because you deserve it. We're also, like I said, at the end of winter, so there's still kind of that energy of rest, that slow, stagnant energy. So I don't want people to underestimate how important rest really, truly is to the witch in order to keep them, functional and working to the best of their abilities. Just keep hitting this plan. Oh my gosh. Next, I encourage you guys to engage in some daydreaming, some wishful thinking, or maybe a guided meditation to connect deeper with your intuition or really establish what your goals are for yourself this year. A lot of my own personal practice is kind of rooted in that self-improvement, but it does not have to be for you. So if your goal is just to make it through the month ahead, that is a-okay. It does not have to be anything as elaborate as I am, whatever works the best for you. Next, I recommend getting creative in the kitchen by making maybe a new or interesting meal, or alternatively, a meal that brings you emotional comfort. I think there is a lot of magic to be found in the kitchen, and if you are someone who maybe can't openly practice like I can, which my heart goes out to you, I have been where you are, I totally understand. The kitchen's a really great place to kind of experiment with green magic and kitchen witchcraft, so I always recommend it, and I can't wait to see what you guys make. Next, for this moon, I really feel like we are starting to kind of engage with the energies of Ostara, so we are moving away from Imbolc, that kind of preparatory phase, into the phase of action and planning, into that space of planting and setting our first intentions. So I encourage you to either start your seeds today if you can, or on the day of the new moon, I should say, or alternatively, maybe plant the seeds of intention if it is still a little too cold outside for you. Now, I am planting my seeds inside, and I have an indoor garden, so it's a little bit different for me, but if you are having an outdoor space, maybe preparing that for the planting season or the growing season is an act that you can do during this new moon. Another thing I super recommend is to take a ritual bath, so you can use some Epsom salt or other healing salts. You can make your space really special by including crystals, candles, or symbols that kind of remind you of the energy of Pisces. Pisces is often represented by a fish or the ocean. If you're not into ritual baths, totally cool, not a problem, but consider including an element of water in your practice in some way, shape, or form, even if that is to make new moon water in order to help plant your intentions with your seeds whenever you decide to plant them. Finally, if you can visit a local body of water, if you can go to the ocean, I envy you the most. But if you go to a local body of water and just like sit and appreciate the fluidity and the constant change of the element of water, I think that is just a really nice way to simply celebrate this new moon. This also provides a really great way to kind of connect back with nature and connect back with the land as we are getting into the warmer part of the year, where that might be a little bit easier, but starting it now might be beneficial to your practice as well. So that's my little spiel about the new moon in Pisces that is happening on March 2nd, 2022. If you are interested, I do have a live patron ritual happening at 8 p.m. EST. That is for all of my patrons, regardless of what level. It's a service that I would like to provide for people. So yes, I hope that is helpful. If you have any questions, definitely leave them down below, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.